Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an absolutely outstanding show for you today. Get ready for the next 90 minutes. Lots to get into. Big news. Lots of leaks coming the way of Call of Duty. My goodness. I mean, this leak, the leaky ship just not going to stay afloat. We got a bunch of information about the next 3 Call of Duties. At least that is what the data miners, have figured out. We're going to get into who released it. I want to talk about Clockwork Revolution for the simple fact that this is something I believe that's going to be very special. Now, Chad Moore, and I don't like saying the name publicly, but I'm going to say it because it's his Twitter. It's his Twitter handle. Happylicious tweeted something the other day. I have a theory about what he's talking about. And again, I could be 1,000% wrong, but I believe that I am not. And this isn't, I'm not an insider. I don't have inside information. It's my opinion, but I'm very excited. I think that this is going to be a game that people will not forget about. inXile very rarely misses. Even though some of their games are not for you, this is going to be a special game. And I believe that this is going to run parallel. How special, you ask? Parallel to something like BioShock 1 by Ken Levine and that team. That's just my opinion on it. But we got to open up the show today, and we're going to get to the introductions first. About this, the gaming media needs to be put on the stand here. I know that people will be like, oh, no, there's Boom. He's talking about the gaming media. But can we just take a step back for a second and see what the shit show is going on in the last 48 to 72 hours when it comes to anything negative with PlayStation? I mean, look, Concord has come out, it's failed. No, we're not going to get into it, right? That it's done. It released undercooked, and there's nothing saving it. Fine, whatever. But the way that the media is covering for a AAA first-party release that has bombed worse than anything before it in PlayStation history is egregious. There are folks in our community getting out here, and again, I'm never going to dance on the grave of anybody's failure, and I don't wish for games to fail. That's not the kind of channel that we have here at Double Barrel Gaming. But God damn it, when you see it, we're going to talk about it because it does appear, and nobody wants to talk about this, and I know people are going to clip me and say, there goes that lunatic again with the hashtag Xbox tax. It exists, and it's happening right now because if the tides were turned and the shoe was on the other foot, so to speak, this would be an all-out media blitz and assault on Xbox. And it's not happening. We have devs out there being like, hey, saying egregious things that work on the team that are calling people names and blocking their accounts, locking up their accounts, and that's fine. No one says anything. Black Myth Wukong, listen, I can't wait to play it. We know that it's happening. We know why it was delayed. And when it launches on Xbox, I'm purchasing day one. But have the reviews come in? No. Everyone's holding back. Let's hold back those PS5 reviews because you know what? We don't want to make it's a small team. Yeah, of course it's a small team. They're a small team out of China, and the game looks freaking amazing. But we cannot deny that the game released with some problems. And nobody on PlayStation Team Blue want to talk about it. Jamie, I want to bring you in. Welcome. And obviously, we were just talking in the green room, and thanks to Crispy like, no, my God, save all of that. We're going to have to revisit this. How you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
Thanks, man. I'm happy to be here. Like I was in the pre-show. I'm not going to swear like I was then. Don't worry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But I mean, listen, we're gonna get into it.
It's if you point any of this stuff out, people think you're going crazy. People think that you're wearing a tinfoil hat, you're walking down the street naked, covered in lemonade. Like, it's weird. And the problem is that Sony does get a pass for a lot of things. They do. They released a hero-based PvP shooter at a time where nobody's really playing them at the minute. Not really. You have that one that's popping off on Steam, the Valve one, but that's another Valve game that's about to pop off. And you have like the space is kind of filled at the minute. Like people are kind of getting sick of these live service games, multiplayer games, because there's just too many. And people will always say, hey, we want competition in this space. But when something else comes out, people are the creatures of habit. So they move back to what they want. Look at X-Defiant, right? People like X-Defiant's going to ruin Call of Duty. And people hop back over 2 days later. So like with the Concord, you have people like have been hyping this game up for a year now or whatever. People were tagging me all the time saying this is going to be better than Starfield. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Are we saying it's the same type of game because of a spaceship? That's normie thinking. I don't like that type of thinking. Anyway, bit rambling. Sony gets a pass, right? I'm seeing people across the industry saying, give this game a chance. Feel sorry for the developers. And I don't want any developer to suffer because of a game failing. I want every game to succeed because it's better for everyone. However, when Redfall came out, people spent months making articles, videos, clickbaiting, grifting, 24/7, making that money because Redfall and hating on Microsoft products just generates cash. And it's been going on forever and ever. You know, I feel like I'm going crazy, but like go back to 2014. Remember on Xbox One, we got the ability to play MP4 files, watch movies from a hard drive.
Yep.
Like who called it pirating. Microsoft now lets you pirate on their Xbox. And
Indeed.
then later, the PlayStation 4 got the exact same feature, and they say, yay, PlayStation 4 now lets you play movies. Same story, same dude writing the story, different way of telling the same story. And it's like, it's blatantly obvious. You know, Quantum Break gets removed from Game Pass for like 2 weeks due to a licensing issue for some of the music. And people were up in arms saying this is the end of Game Pass. Why are games getting removed that were published by first party? And now Horizon Forbidden West is getting removed from PlayStation Plus. Nobody's talking about it except me.
Nope. Yeah.
I
didn't even know what you were talking about until you told me, and I'm like, whoa, hold on a sec.
That's like nobody's talking about it. The Xbox goes up in price in Japan. And by the way, I think going up in price anywhere in general was a bad idea for consoles. But Xbox raised the price of their consoles, and I think it was up by like 40,000 yen or something, which works for about £30 UK. People were up in arms saying this is going to destroy Microsoft's chance in Japan. Last night, I think it was like literally 2 a.m. UK time, PlayStation raised the prices of all their products in Japan.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about it. They get a pass. And look, I think across the board, we want all three of these companies to do well. Look back in the 7th generation, right? The Wii sold ridiculous numbers, over 100 million consoles. Everyone and their grandmother had one. Literally. The PlayStation had a rough start, got there in the end. The Xbox was the go-to device that generation. But do you know what all three did that generation? They succeeded. Everyone was happy in the end. You know, everyone had good games. And now you want people, they are going out of their way, covering stories in a specific way and not covering some stories because they want to protect PlayStation. PlayStation is they are the golden child. They're looked at as like, you know, this like savior of gaming, so to speak, even though they don't care about their legacy at all. They don't do backwards compatibility properly. And they treat their consumers like crap. You have to pay for cloud saves.
Yeah.
That is insane. Cloud saves. You know, you've had cloud saves on 360 for free since, well, the 360. And it's annoying because if you point this out, you're told you're crazy. You have these journalists that if you point this out, you're told you're crazy. But it's true. It's really true. Like Firewalk Studios, they came out with this PvP hero-based shooter, 8 years in development, which is a long time. And by the way, what else came out 8 years ago? Overwatch.
Yeah,
this game was clearly made to, you know, compete against Overwatch. The problem is Overwatch, it's a huge game, but it didn't pop off. It never stayed the same after its first few years. The Overwatch League failed. It was never going to happen. And they clearly wanted in on that money. And PlayStation, they are leaning a live service. Like you saw that tweet the other day when I was posting out. Like, imagine if Xbox, you know, leaned into live service games, removed games from, you know, their own service, all this stuff. And people had a problem with the fact that I was pointing out literal facts they can find themselves. People don't like, this is the problem. You can shit on Microsoft all day, every day, and grift all day. But people are okay with it. If you see anything about PlayStation that's true, that you can literally find, you get told to touch grass, you're being toxic, and you're being a fanboy. Even though, literally, like 90% of my posts on Twitter every day are basically talking about upcoming games and me recommending games. That's what I do on Twitter. But one tweet a day, if that, is a meme, basically either about a game or something happening in the industry, and that's something people hate. They hate the fact that when you point things out, because I'm one of the few people on there that are pointing things out that way, it really gets underneath people's skin. And if you're a PlayStation fan, listen to this, point these things out. I don't like a lot of things Microsoft does. I'm a fan of their products, their games, but I'll point out the things I don't like. And like my biggest problem with Microsoft for years was that they had next to no first-party studios, and they were putting out first-party games once every few years. They fixed that. Like that, my main problem with Microsoft, they fixed. Sony, their fan base, they're not reacting to things because nobody's talking about it, and it's just going to get worse. There's been no major showcase for a year, and these state of players, people keep on hating, although I think they're okay. But it's like Microsoft's providing the content, people are talking about it, but people are bashing Xbox at the end of the day, even though some of the moves they make aren't exactly, the best. And you have PlayStation, there's nothing to talk about. Look at all the PlayStation content on YouTube right now. It's PlayStation 5 Pro around the corner announcement, PlayStation 5 state of play. Like, it's all these rumors and like talking about which games they want to come over from Xbox because there's nothing over there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, again, it's a double standard for sure. Now, folks, the footage you see in front of you is what came out of Gamescom. I want to give credit where credit is due. Clobreel had posted an hour's worth of footage, and the one that actually recorded it, which of course it's in the link if you want to subscribe to him. He doesn't certainly need my help, but his name is Infant Terrible. He is currently has a 251,000 subscribers. And obviously, he had this, again, this came the way of Clobreel originally. I saw it, didn't actually realize, I thought it was actually the Xbox that had posted this because it had the Xbox logo in the left-hand corner. And then when I finished recording, I realized that, of course, it was Infant Terrible. So his link to the original video and as well as his YouTube channel where you can subscribe will be in the show notes. They're already there. So obviously, if you want to check him out, he does lots of videos. He has 1.5 K videos that he has, and he produces, according to him, daily videos about new video games. So he's a multi-platform YouTuber. So please, by all means, check him out. But hey, Crispy Bomb, man, 2 weeks in a row. Welcome back, brother. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I mean, I think Jamie's a little fired up, and I love it. I really do. Brother, you go ham. Absolutely correct on. Say what you want. Xbox tax is real.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I mean, Jamie's got more to say. I'm just saying. So, we're gonna get into the topic, and Crispy's gonna drop his bars. So let's go.
Well, you're obviously gonna do a Crispy rant, which we're happy to have, and we're gonna get into it. And again, folks, that's just the opening salvo to what we're gonna get into. Jamie, I'm going right back to you because I don't want the fire to cool. Okay, so what are we actually pointing out here? What we're pointing out is very clear. That there is an industry double standard. Now, why does that double standard exist? Well, I'm a money kind of a guy, and I look at the things from a dollar perspective. The gaming industry is all about the making a buck, right? That's what it's about. It's about profits. It's about ratios. It's about engagement, all of that. And one of the things that we have seen, and listen, you can't argue that Sony does this to great success, is they have the gaming media, well, I would say under lock. And how do they do that? Well, they have heavily invested into their ad revenue for places like IGN, GameSpot, Kotaku, and many others. So what we see is the damage control and the PlayStation Earth Defense Force come out. And anytime Sony does something that is questionable or even to the point of egregious, it's like, whoa, hold on a sec. The devs, don't make fun of the devs. That's not right. And you know something? That statement by itself in a vacuum is correct. You should make fun of anybody that makes these games, because truth of the matter is, I wouldn't know shit from Shimo how to make a game, and it's hard, and it's a lot of math, it's a lot of school, and making a game ain't easy. But that does not remove criticism from a poorly released and planned game like Concord. And what you're seeing is, and again, Jamie brought it up, and I want him to continue in a second. Go back to Redfall. Redfall launched in a terrible state. There is just no, that's it. The game released broken and half-baked, right? And it got skewed by everybody. Xbox fans, PlayStation fans, and the media. It was like a starving dog not refusing to let go of the piece of meat that it's got in its mouth. And it chewed and it chewed and it chewed for months about how terrible and how could Microsoft release a game this bad. This is the death and destruction of Microsoft. Game Pass bad. See another mid game. 60 a meta. We heard all of that, and we heard it for months, right? And it's not just that. Even when they release a banger like Starfield, the gaming media who doesn't like consolidation, who doesn't like big corpo buying up the places like Activision, instead of reviewing the game for the game, Jamie, we got sevens from certain, particular conglomerates who now own most of the gaming media. And it's okay. No, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's just another dud for Xbox, Bugthesda, right? That wasn't the case. And it's continued. Now, granted, some of the mines that Xbox steps on, yeah, they do that themselves. No one's making an excuse for Phil, for Sarah, for Aaron, or for Matt. When they miss message, and they do that quite often, we talk about it right here, and we give them the business as they deserve it. But what has been going on the last couple of days with this protect Black Myth Wukong from criticism from release? And again, let's make no mistake, that game is gorgeous when it's working. But there are a lot of bugs on the PC. And there are even more bugs on the PS5, but you would not know that because the media refuses to review it. Go look on Metacritic how many reviews that game has from PS5, not the PC. Right?
That would be 5, sir. 5.
That would be a total of 5 reviews. Now, if that was Xbox, and that was the Xbox version, they'd be 55. Fitting all over that game, the team, and everybody. And it'd be like, it's fine. They're a small team who gives a shit. But no one says anything. And then, of course, the Concord situation, which we don't have to beat that horse anymore. That the game sucks. It is literally a copy and a clone of Overwatch with skins that are Dollar Tree-esque Guardians of the Galaxy designed. That's it. Their characters are unappealing. And that game was in development for 8 years. But the media will have you believe it's okay, kid gloves. Let's give it a chance. Come on, don't pick on them. Nobody's picking on the devs. But we're going to speak about the media itself. Jamie, please, by all means, continue.
It's weird because if you go back during the 7th generation, when everyone was pretty much succeeding in the end, all gaming news was essentially talking about, games, upcoming features for games, and it was an exciting time. And now, like you said, it's all about money, and all of Twitter news, gaming news, I say, it's all divulged into what can get the most clicks. Negativity gets the most clicks. And if I were to post out a video saying, let's say the failure of Xbox, and I put out another video called the failure of PlayStation, the one about Xbox will get more clicks because PlayStation has this, even though they've only had one generation of consoles more, should I say, and they never took care of their legacy titles. There's people that just they grew up with PlayStation, They never changed their preference. Some of those people became journalists, and they clearly let their personal preferences enter their work. We talked about this last year. I know I did on my channel a lot. Like, there were games announced on the Xbox showcase, literally announced on their showcase, and IGN forgot to update their database to list Xbox as a platform coming for that game. Like, I had an issue with it. People from IGN actually responded to me saying, no, it was an issue. It's like, okay, if once is a mistake, right? But 4 or 5 times in the space of a day, like, it's been going on for ages. Concord's getting this protection, and like the Black Myth Wukong PlayStation reviews, like, I saw in chat before, it does look a bit coordinated. PlayStation clearly gets like looked at in a different way. Xbox is held to a higher standard because everything I've just talked about previously in the show, like, Sony's done and they get away with. And it's ridiculous that we have to point this out and think that, do I sound like a crazy person because I'm talking about this? No, because we have the balls to actually do it. That's why. Too many people are too afraid of being negative towards PlayStation. And speaking the truth about their problems and people being biased, that isn't being negative. That's just being real. Look at the Gamescom showcase that happened last week, right? A very particular game was announced for Xbox that people have been wanting to come to the platform for years. I get messaged about it all the time saying, is this game coming to Xbox? And that's Genshin Impact. Absolutely colossally huge game. And it's finally coming. Yeah, huge, right? Even if it's not a lot of people's cup of tea, it's a big game. And I see people talking about conspiracy theories. It's like, I mean, say what you will. I mean, if you want to huff that, pony dust all day and believe whatever you want to see, whatever. But like, Genshin Impact finally got announced for Xbox, and Jeff Keighley on stage in front of hundreds of thousands of people literally said, yeah, it's coming to Xbox, right?
Yes.
Literally said out the side of it. And I was watching that and I was thinking, wait a minute. That was a weird, like, people can say that we're being conspiracy theorists, but if you go back and watch that, he literally looks at the screen and goes, yeah, it's Xbox, right? And he's already rehearsed this show. He knows what's going to be announced.
But you know what's crazy, to add some context to what you're saying, and why I'm glad you brought this up,
Indiana Jones,
it's an Xbox announcement. It's already available and has been on PC and PlayStation for years. When he showed it off, it should have been, and coming to Xbox. But it was like, and coming to Xbox.
Yeah.
Like, you are correct.
But later in the show, when Indiana Jones finally gets its release date, the big thing wasn't the release date. Like, go back and watch it. He said, and it's coming to Xbox December 9th. And then he said one more thing. PlayStation 5 comes on screen. And he looked like it was Christmas Day and he got a Nintendo 64 Christmas as a little kid, right? He looks so excited. Now, if he's a PlayStation fan, that's cool. I don't care if someone's a PlayStation fan, because someone can be a retro fan. I don't care. But it's like, there's people in chat right now saying we're conspiracy theorists, and people saying it's not a big deal. But if people let this slide all the time, like, if you want the news to be one-sided in gaming, it might be in real life, depending on where you live. But like, it's crystal clear that people are just letting things slide. Like I said, the PlayStation price is going up in Japan. Nobody talking about it, even though people talked about it with Xbox. Concord seems to be getting a pass, even though, like, look, I don't play hero-based shooters. That's not for me. I didn't play Overwatch. I don't plan on playing anything else. But like, it's getting less coverage than Redfall, and that was a single-player / co-op game. Even though, especially right now, co-op, I should say multiplayer games, PvP's in a weird space right now, but like, it's getting less coverage. And the Black Myth Wukong reviews, it's a bit weird, where's the articles from IGN saying like, hey, where's the showcase? But no, we'll get an article like saying five best games we want from Xbox to come to PlayStation. It's ridiculous. It's tiring. I just think that, like we said before, if you talk about this, people say you're being a conspiracy theorist or whatever. And it's like, what if we don't talk about this? What if we don't talk about this at all? No, if no one acknowledges it, right? That's wrong. That's the wrong thing to do. And look, this isn't me like standing up for Xbox. I prefer Xbox, but they make decisions I just don't like. I think the way they handled the Indiana Jones announcement, Terrible. I think they ended the
Horrible.
backward. I think they ended the backwards compatibility program too early. I think their solution for DVR needs to be fixed, and I could go on. But for the most part, when it comes to the games, which is the main thing, I'm pretty satisfied. So when it comes to all this other stuff in the news, I just want people to be fair. If Xbox does something wrong, talk about it in the news. If PlayStation does something wrong, talk about it in the news. That's all you have to do, but we just don't get that.
I mean, again, it's clear as day. Crispy, let's bring you in immediately and get your hot take on this, because again, here we are. We're talking about the gaming media, and it's not like we started the show, because I even polled the guys and said, listen, no one's really talking about this. And then Jamie was like, well, I have a lot to say, so I think we should talk about it. And of course, Crispy is here. I expect a rant. Look, the truth of the matter is that it is one-sided, and it's clear. A perfect example of exactly what fans of gaming are looking at. If you're an Xbox fan, listen, I don't think that the media is out to get me personally. I don't give a shit what they say, to be honest with you. I know where my dollar gets the most value, and that's Xbox and Xbox Game Pass. Now, if you don't think so, hey, that's fine. But we cannot argue that there are two games that were released within a few days of each other, and they're getting the blanket cover of protection from criticism, not going after them to drive these studios into the ground like dust, like they did with Redfall, they did with all of the releases that Xbox has come out with. There's always some criticism to it, right? There's always something. There's always a but at the end of their review. But these two games, nothing. No one's talking about it. And when you do, it's like, whoa, in just a second, boom. Don't go and start poking fun at the devs. Nobody's attacking the devs. And maybe if you are, listen, you're not welcome here, because we don't attack anybody. We don't do the bullying thing here. Have your opinion. That's perfectly fine. But going out of your way to really dance on people's graves, not something that we like and we will support here. But we can have a conversation, which we're about to have right now. Crispy, take it away, brother.
Well, I mean, let's look back. Starfield, 30 FPS, right? You know, everybody's like, oh, I want unlock. Well, you got it on PC. Okay. So, Black Myth Wukong, people having issues on PC because it has an unlocked frame rate. So we look at that and we say, okay, well, maybe they're just not optimizing it. I've had multiple people on my timeline and Twitter say, I have tried every optimization possible in my eyes, and I just don't see how this game is going to run the way I want it to. Then you look at the fact that the game has 5 critic reviews, 5, the media critic reviews on PlayStation 5, which everybody was like, oh, Black Myth Wukong going to PS5 first, screw Xbox, whatever. Okay, and that includes the pony bots. Sorry, people, you pony bots. Okay, so then I look at these reviews. Okay, and I'm just gonna read the first sentence of each one for Black Myth Wukong. Okay, from PS5, by the way. Power Unlimited. Black Myth Wukong is imperfect, but it lives up to the hype. Push Square. It takes time for Black Myth Wukong's combat to truly click. GamerNL.nl, never heard of it. Black Myth Wukong does more things right than wrong. Now, I have seen the opposite for Xbox games. On said site, Metacritic, saying, oh, it does more wrong than right. But then they highlight the right. What are we doing here? Because if there was 5 reviews, because everybody remember when they Redfall, remember when they said, okay, we're going to release, allow you to the embargo after, and all these other things, and there's a few other games that they've done this with, but they still had the product. Do they have the product or not? Do these other, I don't see IGN on here. Are they calling out PlayStation for not having the product, or are they waiting for an update? Anybody remember when like certain games would come out and then like certain sites wouldn't get them and they'd go all up in arms, but it just happened to be only on Xbox?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this has happened before. Like, what are we talking about? We're talking about companies that clearly have a bias, and they are supposedly media companies, and at this point I don't know if they're bought and paid for already, and that is up to you to come and assume or deny or tell me I'm crazy. But 5 reviews for a game that's been out, like, it's almost a week now, isn't it? I mean, it's getting it. And they haven't really announced anything for the PS5. Maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe Xbox is the console of quality now, because they're like, you haven't gotten through our review process twice already, so we're just not ready for that. I mean, these are the things that I would hear from the PlayStation. We just want to play the game, right? Boom. I mean, we want to play the game. We want to have it for what it is. But when you have 5 Metacritic reviews, what are we talking about here? Now, Concord, on the other hand, I mean, I beat that horse to death. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, you're not going to have a hero shooter that's going to do that well. The problem I have is that still, as of now, Redfall still has a higher concurrent base when they started out over Concord.
10 times more. They had 6,000 and change. Concord had 6 and change. So there you go.
Like, what are we talking about here? Like, you have to understand that Xbox has been doing this, like especially multiplayer game. Wukong, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's probably gonna drop on Game Pass. That's probably what's gonna happen. They're gonna take the bag. They made money, but they're gonna still take another bag from Microsoft.
I mean, they sold 10 million copies. I mean, listen, make no mistake, Wukong is a success, especially for that team. But that it does not remove the fact that there is criticism on how the game's performance is. And for most people who were playing it on PC, like Infinite Umbra, who couldn't be here today because he got stuck at work, is loving it. He's absolutely loving it. Jay Fonzarelli beat the game. I mean, he was into it, right? But he came out and said, hey, listen, the chapter 6, complete shit show. Completely, the floor falls out. And again, you're not hearing anybody talk about that, but Jay Fonz really keeps it real. And he loved the game, but he said that the chapter 6 was a disaster.
And what do we hear all the time? What do we hear all the time about Starfield? It started off too slow. I just read that to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It started off, it started off too slow for me. All right? But I understand. See, if you're not a Bethesda fan, maybe you shouldn't be reviewing the game, or at least into RPGs. Like, if you're not into RPGs, why are you reviewing the game? But it seems like the media is like, okay, let's put this Call of Duty player that loves Call of Duty, loves Halo and all these other things on an RPG. And then let's have him review it. See, it's almost like, let's throw everything to the curb and say, oh, we're nothing here. We don't care. We just have anybody review anything. Hello, like, the actual critiques should be from the ones that play games like that. So then it has more value. But it seems like when it comes to Xbox, they throw people in there that shouldn't. So like Redfall, they probably threw like an RPG guy in there. I mean, anybody remember the Cuphead thing? Where the dude couldn't even jump? Like, if you don't play platformers, why are you playing that game? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And trust me, Cuphead is hard as hell. I'm not saying it's not. But the beginning of it, like, learn how to double jump. Hello, did you play Mario back in the day? What are we talking about here? So, like, I look at these things and I say, it's all a setup. Like, to have 5 reviews right now on PlayStation 5 says if you're on PlayStation 5, why the hell are you going to buy that game? Because they're not even confident enough to have anybody have any more reviews, including the IGNs and all those big conglomerates that you love to look at. When they sit
They're literally
there and
waiting for the patch.
And we've seen so many times where these conglomerates have went and said one thing about Xbox and said the exact opposite within the same exact realm about PlayStation. What are we talking about? Like, common sense is dead. Okay? Like, I hate that common sense is dead, and I hope maybe we bring it back. But right now, you can see the receipts if you really want to look for them, and that is up to you. Right now, there is nothing saying, hey, Chris, buy a PlayStation 5. And that's something that is going to hurt them in the end. And you're probably going to see a PS5 Pro or a PS6 or something very soon because they know they're on the downswing right now. And then you have games that are coming out on both platforms. And now all of a sudden, oh, they're great because Xbox said, yeah, they're great. But we're going to get into that.
Yeah, listen, look, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, this was a solid way to open up the show. I felt that it was necessary. The guys on the panel felt it was necessary to make mention of it. No one's crying. These are facts. You can go look them up yourselves. I'm not going to, lay out everything for you. These things have happened. They continue to happen, and people just kind of just like it's hush hush. Don't say nothing negative, and no one's being negative. We're just bringing forward a conversation that a lot of people in this community, A, are talking about, and B, want us to discuss openly, which, of course, we just did. Now, obviously, I want to welcome in. We got 667 people watching live, and, of course, we have 185 people watching on Twitter. Thank you so much, folks. And, of course, nearly 500 watching on YouTube. I can't thank you fine folks enough for checking out Double Barrel Gaming. Mrs. Boom and I, we crossed a massive milestone a couple weeks ago. We got 15K, and we, of course, now are looking forward to 16K. And if you're new and you're finding the channel for the first time, and let's say, for instance, you like the factual conversation that we're having, please consider subscribing. I do this Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, all live streams. And you know what? We don't sell hate. We don't clickbait you. We don't rage bait you here. We have conversations like we just did. And I think it was really well done. But we're going to get into another one in a second. But I got to catch up on Super Chats. Been a couple of them popped in here. And the first one of the day comes the way of our very good friend and generous friend of the program, Will Broke Boy Lewis, who drops an outstanding $5 Super Chat. He goes on to say, Metacritic does have PS5 scores for Wukong. It's 73 based on 5 reviews, but it's amazing that only has 5. They usually have a lot more. Yeah, most of the big conglomerates are not going to review it because they, A, don't want to piss off Sony, B, don't want to piss off the small team, and of course, they're waiting for a patch. Now, if you start to see listen, they're patching the game right now, and nobody wants the game to fail. It hasn't failed, folks. It sold 10 million copies. That is crazy. Congratulations to the team. That is an amazing thing. That's because that game looks outstanding. But you cannot deny the game on console has a whole mess of problems, and you can't argue that it's suspicious AF that the gaming media refuses to review this. Because again, if this was an Xbox exclusive, rest assured there would have been 76 times 10 reviews. And that's just a fact. We Robo 2024 has been a channel member for almost 2 long years, brother. Thank you so much for the support. He goes on to say, I watched Destin's video about Concord, and he did not hold back. Indeed, shout out to Destin Legere. I watched his video this morning, and, well, if you're looking for someone in the media to be honest about Concord, go check out his video because there was no holding back. He destroyed it, and he wasn't wrong. He goes on to say, He didn't hold back on Concord, but he defended the journalists not continuing to go in on the game. I mean, listen, he's a journalist. He works for IGN. He's gonna. You know what? Look, whether you like Destiny or don't, I do. I support him. I'm a fan of his work. We don't agree on a lot of things, and Destin knows it. And we've talked in DMs, but that doesn't make us not. If I see him in person, going to shake his hand. He's going to defend the gaming media. He is the gaming media. That's his right to do it. I disagree with that, and I'm putting the gaming media on blast, as I should, because as a gamer, I call if listen, if it stinks, it stinks. Sorry, this is the way it is. But thank you so much for being supporting the channel for almost 2 years, dude. That is crazy generous of you. Will Broke Boy Lewis drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he goes on to say, do you think Jeff K or Jeff Keighley had anything to do with the way they announced Indiana Jones for PlayStation 5? Something like, I really think we should do this, do it like this. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm taking off my glasses for this. A, because I have an itch in my eye, and B, I want to be front facing. I've said this before, and some of the people that clipped me for saying it, it's fine. They're going to clip me again. Go back and watch how it was done. It just seems to me that it was shoehorned in there for the fact of getting a PS5 announcement during his showcase. And again, I want this to be the caveat for what I'm about to say, ladies and gentlemen. PlayStation fans are welcome here on Double Barrel Gaming, on the Xbox Factor podcast. So I'm speaking directly to you. Think about this for a second. The banner, the excitement that you have for this game coming to PS5, that's awesome. And you should be excited because, God damn it, that game looks phenomenal. It's probably going to be my game of the year. But just keep this in the back of your mind. Your biggest announcement in 2024 came the way of Xbox and a first-party game coming to your platform next year. That is what Sony has done for you in 2024. Keep that in the back of your mind as you're running with your giant W banners. You did win. You're getting an amazing game on your console next year. That is awesome, and you should be excited about it if you are a PlayStation-only gamer. But think about that. Your biggest announcement came the way of the box that you continue to shit on a regular basis. Food for thought, right? So there you go. We have here Gotham Guy, generous friend of the program. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, Crispy Bomb, my auntie Brenda used to tell me that common sense is not that common anymore. Indeed, it's not. We also have here Pragmatic Eagle. This is crazy. He has been a supporter literally from inception of the channel. 59 months. I mean, Pragmatic Eagle, dude, I don't even know what to say, but a huge thank you. That is ridiculous support, and we here at Double Barrel Gaming are incredibly appreciative of that. He goes on to say, keeping with the topic, remember when Microsoft got roasted for releasing a console with no games? Yep, sure do. That was the Xbox One X. You will not see that for the PlayStation 5 Pro, indeed. No, 1,000%. If the Pro, and again, Jeff Grubb talked about it yesterday on his Games Mess podcast. Shout out to Jeff. Love that dude. Great member of the community. He talked about it, that there's not going to be a Sony showcase, but there's going to be a state of play in September. And quite a few people have been talking about that, going back all the way to May, where it's going to be a showcase, and they're going to show off the PlayStation 5 Pro and give the price. The rumor is that it's $600+. And if they just raise the price of the PS5 in Japan because of the market rates, I got a suspicion that it's going to be closer to $700. It may be $649, it may be $689, it may even be $699. The Pro is going to cost bucks, and I am not buying that. Jay Rambert drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, the sad frustrating thing about all of this is the fact that the games media and PlayStation fanboys wanted Xbox to bend the knee, and they did. I mean, look, I'm an old man, and if I had it my way, it would be I wouldn't put anything on PlayStation. That's just me. I would take the Peter Moore way of doing business and make you go buy an Xbox. You want to play on PC? By all means, play on PC. Where you're not playing is on Switch or PlayStation. If you want to play my games, but of course, that's not the reality that we live in. And perfect example is just look at the interview with Phil Spencer. They are required to pay back that $70 billion that they borrowed from Microsoft to get Activision. And how they're going to do that isn't going to be just with Call of Duty being everywhere and making the money from microtransactions and things. They need to put their games in other places. Do I like that? 1,000% no, I do not. Do I feel that Gears, Forza, and Halo need to be the line drawn in the sand? A freaking 10,000%. But that is just me. And I'm also no longer the target audience. They got me and they know it. And if you think I'm going to throw my hands up in the air and quit Xbox, that's ridiculous. I like the hardware. I'm a console guy. I always have been and will always be a console guy. I'm going to play an Xbox. I like the controller. I like my achievements, my friends list, the ease of access, quick resume, you name it. I like everything about it. But they got me. And of course, I love Game Pass and the value that it brings. So it's unfortunate that they had to go that route, but rest assured, Sony is following suit. How long that's going to be before Sony follows suit, I don't know. Is that a year? Is it 2 years? Is it 3? I don't know. We'll see. We will see. But they've already kind of, quote unquote, bent the knee because Horizon Lego is launching on Switch and it's going to launch on Xbox next year as well. They just haven't told us about it yet. It's going to be an announcement next year. Mark my words. Let's see. We got one other super chat that came in from Will. Will Broke Boy Lewis drops an additional, very generous $5 super chat. And he goes on to say, did you see MBG PS Fanboy videos recently? He's like, you can say we are port begging for games. You're right. We are going to because it's working. I mean, listen, I got nothing negative to say about him. He used to be an Xbox guy. He used to be a diehard Xbox guy, and he switched sides, and now he's a PS guy. I mean, he is who he is. I don't watch his content. I just don't. There are a lot of grifters that I don't watch their content. I wouldn't watch it if you offered me money. But, gentlemen, chat, 700 people here. Hit the like button, please. Let's get into what Chad Moore. Now, who's Chad Moore? Who is this chap, Chad Moore? Well, Chad Moore is the game director of Clockwork Revolution that's coming from inXile. And I believe that game is releasing next year. I'm just saying I feel it in my bones. So what he tweeted is what I would consider a small tweet. And a lot of people went over a lot of people's heads. People are not talking about this. I saw it and the alarm bells went off instantly. Now, whether you believe Clockwork Revolution is going to be, well, revolutionary is entirely up to you. I think based on what we saw when it was first revealed and what we continue to hear about it behind closed doors and in some, public channels, this game is going to be something special. inXile is a talented team, and they just don't miss. And I really believe this is one of those announcements that are happening. I'm going to tell you in a second where. So let me just read to you what he wrote. And again, it had a minuscule 554 likes, 40 retweets, 26 comments. Kind of didn't hit on the socials, if you will. Well, this is what Pappylicious, which of course is his Twitter handle, had to say. He says, let's just say it straight. When the Clockwork Revolution team is given a target, they don't miss. This was an unbelievably awesome week. So now this is where the tinfoil hat goes over the mohawk, ladies and gentlemen. And pardon my mohawk, I got to get my hair cut. My stylist is on vacation, and I can't cut it myself. So pardon it. It's not tight, if you will. I honestly believe that statement is a prelude, Jamie, to what's happening during the Game Awards. Now, we know that Xbox, at least from what we hear, is not going to be at the Tokyo Game Show, right? We've heard that. We haven't heard anything else, so I'm just assuming they're not going to be there. And I say it's a mistake. But then after closing, getting rid of the Hi-Fi Rush developer, and thankfully that studio is now owned by somebody else, and we're going to get sequels. They just don't have a presence in Japan, and that's fine. But when I hear this particular statement, Jamie, I immediately think, okay, what's next after the Tokyo Game Show? Well, that would be, ladies and gentlemen, the Game Awards in December. And as we know, we have heard publicly that there were some games that were removed from the June showcase because it was too long. It was a 3-hour show. They had to cut down to 2 hours. I believe that this is one of those games. I believe that they have put together a trailer, and this trailer for Clockwork Revolution is going to be shown at the Game Awards. And that's not the only one. We're going to get into that towards the end of the year. I believe Kojima's game is going to be shown at the Game Awards. That's the Xbox exclusive. But keeping it tight here, Jamie, again, it's just my opinion. I could be 1,000% wrong, but when we know that when they make these trailers, they are months and months before a particular show. The next big one is happening in 4 months. That is what I think he was talking about. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I think it'll be Clockwork Revolution. That game's a strange one because it's kind of flying underneath the radar, even though when it was announced with gameplay. Like, it looked very polished for when it was announced. And a lot of people still don't even know what that game is. And, well, it's a single-player RPG. That's what inXile excels at. And they do story unlike anyone else. They make really interesting stories. And the thing about this game is this, because of Microsoft, and Brian Fargo's talked about this, they can make the games they want now. They can go full-on AAA. They don't have to worry about having to raise funds, do Kickstarter, all that nonsense anymore. They can just make games and not even worry about it. And this is the first game of that. And it looks so promising. So I'll list off a bunch of features that a lot of people might not know about. So it's going to have a full-on character creator. It is a AAA RPG. It's going to have a intuitive time-bending combat. And if you watch the trailer, that's literally in-game. It's not pre-rendered content. Deep role-playing systems, which is what you get with an inXile game. And the choices affect the world around you. Again, if you watch the trailer, it looks like that. It's an ambitious game. It really is. And I'm excited for it. I think the Game Awards is a safe bet for that. And what can I say? I mean, like, I'm happy for inXile more than anything, because if you watched any of their little like documentaries in the past, 90% of what they talk about is like trying to find funding for a game. They put out a game, I think, in 2015. It was called Tales of Numenera. I can't remember its name. But it's such an interesting game. It's set 1 billion years in the future. There's no sci-fi game like it. But its combat system is so out there, and it's excuse me, it's so like it's not easy to get into. So it didn't really succeed well, especially on console. It had like some fan base on PC, but like they have so much potential as a developer. They've been around for a very long time, and like this is going to be the first thing we see with the back of the Microsoft. Them not worrying about money, and I can't wait for it. So I think the Game Awards will be there, where we get a gameplay trailer and a release date. And I do think this game is coming out next year.
I just think when we saw it originally, that was very polished, dude. Like, I agree with you. I think it's next year for sure. I could be 1,000% wrong, and if so be it, well then so be it. But the game looked good when we saw it, and like I said it once before, and I'll say it again. inXile, Crispy Bomb, they just don't miss. So when I read what Chad Moore had to say, and he says, let's just say it's straight. When the Clockwork team is given a target, they don't miss. This was an incredible, unbelievably awesome week. Again, it's vague, but I think that they were asked to put a trailer together, and that trailer is going to be shown not at the Tokyo Game Show. I don't think they're even going to that. What other shows are there? Well, the most watched show during the year, whether you like Jeff or you don't, is the Game Awards, and it gets bigger each and every year. This is going to be a big game, and it's going to be an Xbox exclusive for how long, I don't know, but right now, it's not releasing anywhere but PC and Xbox. Let's get your thoughts.
I mean, we're talking like, if you like RPGs, I don't know why you don't have Game Pass. Like, let's be honest. Like, inXile, aren't they like former, like a lot of them are former Interplay devs or something like that?
Yeah.
And you know, they developed the original Fallouts. Are we, on the same page? So what are we saying here? Like, they don't know how to make an RPG, and they haven't been cooking on the fact that it's not isometric or top down. It's them actually going into the FPS status. That's where I say, can you be like Obsidian and give me a third person? Can you all of a sudden show that like Avowed did, like even later? I don't care. Like, just give me the option to switch. And I truly believe if Xbox embraces, especially these RPGs, like Bethesda does with the first and third person status, it is going to do tremendously. And people could say what they want, but Starfield is super successful, regardless of the media. And that's where I say inXile said, screw you. I mean, you see it all the time from their tweets. Screw you.
Yeah,
like,
they're funny.
They don't care.
They
don't care. They're having fun. But when he goes and says this, you go and say, I kind of believe it, because they haven't done those tweets lately, and their heads down, and they're saying, we're going to make something special. We're going to make something that people recognize. And it might have some, like I heard when people saw that, Clockwork Revolution, they saw that trailer, and they're like, gives me BioShock vibes. Why
It
not?
Absolutely does.
Why not, though? But in a different way. And, you look at the teams involved. Who knows if, like, they don't ask Obsidian for help at some point? Why not? I mean, Outer Worlds did well. You just don't know what Microsoft's going to do. We've already laid out all of the extended arms that they have within the company themselves, like the Coalition, like Playground. There's a lot of companies within them that have the ability to help in certain little aspects. Doesn't have to be, the whole narrative or nothing like that. Let's take it back, like visuals, like, like how they go about the process of, even Bethesda. I mean, who knows if they get brought in at some point and say, hey, like, this narrative might not go there or where you want it to go. So let's look back on it and see if we can clean that up a little bit. These are all things that we haven't experienced yet, really. I mean, in small doses, but I mean, Halo Infinite, I mean, people say like the visuals got saved by the Coalition. I don't know that for a fact, but they were there. At least a few of their devs were there, and we all know that. So
yeah, I mean, but listen, the truth of the matter is, they are opening each development studio is getting help from somewhere, one studio or another. That's confirmed fact. They're all working with each other to make the games better.
Well, and I mean I think that's the Redfall effect. I think
There's
that's what Redfall did.
Yeah.
I think when Phil said I should have brought in the A team, remember that?
Yeah, he sure did.
You know, like I should have brought in the A team. And I looked at that and I said, oh, now he's learning that, hey, I have developers that are just good at certain things. And they're willing to go across and say, hey, I'll work on a game that I'm not used to. And I think, you know, this is something that is going to develop over time. But maybe in Exile, they might have a little help. You never know. Like, I'm talking maybe 3 to 5 people at times. And then, you know, you have certain aspects you need help on. You're communicating with an emails or whatever else. Like, hey, I'm thinking about this with this. Like, this is the one nice thing about Game Pass and how it attributes to gamers just being gamers and understanding that not every game is for all of us.
Correct.
It is only for a certain subset of what they want. But it's becoming larger because Game Pass provides you with so many things. And I think inXile's embracing that and saying, hey, like, we're going to go first person. Maybe we're lucky. Like, I want to get a third person over the shoulder as well within the game. But
I mean, you never know.
That is up to them. And that's where I say, like, and I can go all the way back to the beginning of our conversation. If they go 30 FPS and it's solid and it runs well, why are we so mad about it? Especially on the console. You know what I'm saying?
That the 30 versus 60 is something that's gonna continue to rage. But Crispy, what can I say? You knocked it out of the park as expected, and you're right. I think that even though we have no idea, there's a lot about the Clockwork Revolution that we don't know. We know it is a first-person time traveling kind of a game. That's about all we know. We know that the graphics look amazing. Could it have a third-person mode? Possibly. I mean, I wouldn't care one way or another if it did. If it had one, excellent. If it doesn't, that's perfectly fine because BioShock was first person the entire start to finish through the trilogy, and I loved every freaking second of it. But look, at the end of the day, this is one of those games that a lot of people aren't talking about. And this was a very subtle tweet that it went over a lot of people's heads. And again, I could and probably am wrong, but just based on my excitement for this game and the fact that we do have the Game Awards, which is a massive undertaking at the end of the year, this seems primed to be front and center during that showcase and potentially one of the games that were held back from the Xbox showcase. But we do have one more topic to get into, and that, of course, is the Call of Duty leaks. And man, there's been a freaking ton of them. But before we get to that topic, gotta thank Horace Hamilton. Horace, welcome to the program, and thank you so much for the very generous $10 super chat. And he goes on to say, I remember a few years ago, Phil Spencer said if Nintendo and Sony would allow Game Pass on their console or consoles, we would bring Game Pass there, meaning everything would hit on those systems day and date. Am I correct? Actually, you are correct. He did, in fact, say that. And we did get that Nintendo wants no part of it, and Sony definitely doesn't want Game Pass on there. So now they're doing it like this. They're making contract deals with Nintendo to bring Call of Duty there for the next decade. And, of course, games are going to be going over to PlayStation. Sony's going to get their 30% cut. Microsoft's going to get their 70%. And, you know, again, it's just the new corporate strategy. Do I like it? Not really, to be honest with you. But, again, I'm no longer the focus. They understand that they have to make money on make new money, and I would say on old games because that's how it was originally pitched. But we know they're going to make new money on new games. Again, so it's happening, folks. And I think there's a lot of people in the gaming media and the PlayStation community that does not think that Sony is going to do this. They are going to do this. What, how, when? Questions that we will eventually have to answer at some point, but they will be doing this. And I don't know, again, I think it's listen, I'm gonna hitch my horse to this cart. And keep pulling it. I think it's Spider-Man, at least one of them, but we will see. So let's where did I get the update from? Well, the update, first of all, Dextero.com actually put out the article. It was written by Brad Norton, published published today, as a matter of fact, August 27th. Now, the original tweet that he's referring to in this article comes the way of Call of Duty Warfare on Twitter. Now, who are they? Well, they have almost 27,000 followers, and all they talk about is Call of Duty news. And this is pretty big news because according to them, it says here, and he says, so if Tom is correct, and I believe he meant Tom Henderson, if I'm not mistaken, and nothing has changed, unlike the files suggested that, well, here's the data. The data should be broken down like this. Image 1 is SAT Call of Duty 2025, which apparently is being led by Treyarch, and that is supposed to be Black Ops 7. It says here, image 2 is what codename Rex for Call of Duty 2026. That is Modern Warfare 4 and Warzone 3, and the lead there is Infinity Ward. It says it has a third image, and it says the codename is RAP, R-A-P, and it has a tagline of unknown developer. Now, according to, again, Call of Duty Warfare on Twitter, it says discussions on this started this morning in our group chat, suggesting that Rex, or codename Rex, had replaced codename Saturn due to the amount of data that was compared to, of course, the original post of Project Saturn. Now, I don't know what Project Saturn is, but of course, I'm just reading the tweet verbatim. It says, I was already aware that Modern Warfare 4 was codenamed Rex and suggested that this wasn't the case, but the more the files here were looked at, it now points towards it being Modern Warfare 4. And again, these are massive leaks. Now, these leaks haven't stopped, and I'm very surprised what's going on in Activision. Remember, these leaks, you had the big one where all of the full motion video, all the CG for the single player campaign are out there. I didn't watch any of it. Listen, I don't think you're going to get spoiled. I wouldn't watch it anyway. I've seen people post pictures. The pictures don't do anything for me. I don't go looking for this content. Treyarch is based on the multiplayer trailer that was released yesterday, Jamie, is cooking with Black Ops 6. 16 new maps. It is going to be potentially the biggest Call of Duty in a very long time. It looks like it's solid. The single player looks amazing. Incredible graphics, incredible detail. Gory as all H. And of course, the multiplayer, again, it's releasing with 16 new maps. But of course, we're not sure. Now, depending on what circle you run in, some people are suggesting that 2025's Call of Duty is not going to be Black Ops 7, that it's going to be Modern Warfare 4. That makes more sense. And that is going to be led by Infinity Ward, which a lot of people are like, hey, Infinity Ward hasn't done anything really good in a long time. And you are correct. The last game that they ever accredited was Modern Warfare 3, and that did just not hit very well. It was a DLC that they lengthened to sell out, well, to make money, and they did the corporate thing. I played through it. I enjoyed it, but I make no mistake, it wasn't the best of the Call of Duties, especially in the Modern Warfares that I've ever played. Jamie, let's get into this because, again, the leaks continue to happen at Activision. I don't know how this is happening, why they haven't buttoned it up, but Modern Warfare 4 looks like it's going to be the next one in 2025, followed by potentially the next Black Ops in 2026, which is going to be Black Ops 6. Again, based on how big Call of Duty is each and every year and how much time that this game has had in development, the trailer from yesterday, phenomenal. But let's talk about the leak, man. Modern Warfare 4, I think, can fix a lot of the wrongs and a lot of the bad taste left in the mouth of people from Modern Warfare 3, because this is going to be now an actual Modern Warfare 4 release, where it's going to be start to finish a game that wasn't half baked, and they threw some other levels on there to kind of just make the bucks. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so it's funny because for people listening that might not know, and like you just said, Modern Warfare 3, which we got last year, was originally going to be an expansion.
It
You know,
was.
you download that part as Modern Warfare 2, you have some story, you have some, co-op stuff and some extra multiplayer modes. And if they did that, I honestly think it would have reviewed better, because the asking price for, $70 for that Call of Duty game, I think was a bit much, because a lot of people look at the campaign as it's a value proposition at the end of the day. Like, the main reason I play Call of Duty is for the campaign. Like, I'm one of that 0.05%. But like, that campaign's really short. There's 2 missions in that campaign where you can finish in about 30 seconds. Ridiculous, really. But this, like, I saw this coming. I think a lot of people that that into Modern Warfare and Call of Duty saw this coming, because like, they were all hands on deck for pushing that out as a full title. And Call of Duty is now a launcher. So, and I don't like the Call of Duty launcher, by the way. I used to like having individual games. Now it's just like a colostomy bag of just icons everywhere. It's horrible. I don't like it. Fortunately, they are fixing the menu. But anyway, so it looked like next year is going to be Modern Warfare 4, full on game, full on multiplayer, proper campaign, all that stuff. And even the zombies mode from Modern Warfare, I think was pretty fun. It's basically an extraction mode. So going to Modern Warfare, that makes sense. I think where Call of Duty is at now, I don't think they're going to risk in the future doing like offshoot games. I think Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, and Black Ops, that's pretty much going to be it. They may experiment with the occasional, Infinite Warfare 2, although I don't know where you'd go with the storyline, but I think that's pretty much it. They're going to rotate between Black Ops and Call of Duty, and Modern Warfare. And the thing about that is, like, it's kind of ridiculous if you think about it. Every 2 years, they've got to get a game out, right? These studios, while they're supporting each other, you have the support studios making maps for the game that's already out and also helping making the next game. So these leaks are bound to happen. Same thing with Assassin's Creed. There's so many different studios working with each other. Stuff just falls through the cracks. And, I think that they're going to have some success. I just think the main problem going forward, like looking a year and a half from now, the main problem for Call of Duty is, do they continue doing the whole, hey, we release a main game one year and a sort of a full-priced expansion the next year? Now, we don't know the full-on sales for Modern Warfare 3, but the reception of it wasn't that good. If they can get the, production line in order and get these games out, fine. I think they're just going to rotate Black Ops and Modern Warfare pretty much forever. Why not? It makes the money. Now, when it comes to Black Ops 6, I think this is going to be the biggest Call of Duty in probably 10 years. You're going back to round-based zombies, something of which people have been wanting for years. And if people are looking forward to Black Ops and you haven't played the current zombies mode we have in Modern Warfare, it's literally an extraction mode, but with zombies. And it's not as fun. So they're going back to basics. The campaign has had the longest development time ever for a Call of Duty campaign, which gets me excited. We've seen just one level, and we've been shown some open stuff, immersive sim elements in some of the campaign missions. It looks really good. And then you have the multiplayer. Yes, they've had jump packs in the past, but the level design was actually really bad and didn't support the jump packs that well. But you have omnidirectional movement. And I know some people might think it looks a bit weird, like, how's it going to change things? But think about it. How long have we all been playing multiplayer first-person shooters? How long have you been running forward, holding down the left thumbstick while aiming with the right thumbstick and shooting with the trigger, right? We've been doing that for decades now. But now you're going to be able to sprint in any direction while shooting in any other direction. And you can dolphin dive in any direction. So it literally changes how multiplayer is going to work. Like, I'm looking at the gameplay and thinking it's really revolutionary for COD. I don't know how I'm going to be able to compete. I took a 13-year hiatus from Call of Duty multiplayer, so I just got back into it this year. I'm terrible, awful. but it's fun. But this is the biggest jump for Call of Duty in a long time. You know, each Call of Duty in the past has had some issues when it comes to either the campaign, the zombies, co-op, and multiplayer. But it looks like this year, with the 4-year development time, because people have been wanting Black Ops to come back for 4 years. You know, Cold War was so good, and it just felt like it didn't get that much support. And you have this game that looks like it fixes every single issue people wanted fixing, you know? And like I said, I think it's going to be the biggest Call of Duty in years. It will. I think it's going to dictate what we see from Call of Duty going forward. Maybe the omnidirectional movement isn't in Modern Warfare, or maybe people love it and they have to put it in. But it's a big shakeup for Call of Duty going forward. So whether you're like me and a campaign fan, you're going to experience all those moments with the omnidirectional movement in the campaign, in a full proper campaign, biggest campaign ever. Zombies looks amazing. So, like, I think, you know, even with all the leaks to the side, like, it's going to be an exciting year for COD. You get the beta early if you're on Game Pass. Like, it's a big win for Microsoft, but I think it's a bigger win for gamers because we're finally getting what we want after years of waiting for it.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's still shocking to me that Black Ops 6 is going to be in Game Pass. It's just madness. But Crispy, let's talk about this massive leak. Obviously, the leaky ship continues to do so. Modern Warfare 4 apparently expected to be the next big one next year. Obviously, after what happened with the response and the reception from Modern Warfare 3, which we all know it was meant to be an expansion, and they added those levels that a lot of people didn't like. I happen to really like those levels that were considered to be like war zone levels where and again, I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed it. I actually found every weapon, special weapon, and as an achievement, I think it's like a 90-point achievement for it. I got it. I found every weapon that was in one of those hidden throughout every one of those maps. I enjoyed it. Crispy, let's get your thoughts on this, man, because obviously Black Ops 6 is going to be huge. Jamie knocked it out of the park. I think everyone is excited for this game. It is the longest game in development in, well, decades for Call of Duty. It's going to be a big deal. People love Black Ops. But I would love to see a redemption story for Infinity Ward. Remember, they used to be the Treyarch. Treyarch is the lead dog now. But they were always secondary until they took the mantle away from Infinity Ward. I'd love to see a redemption story where Modern Warfare 4 comes out and it's a banger. It's everything that we want, everything we could have asked for, and it definitely, puts a blanket over people remembering Modern Warfare 3. Let's get your thought about the leaks and, more importantly, some of the gameplay that was put out there for multiplayer yesterday for Black Ops 6.
I mean, I'm going to confirm what you said. Infinity Ward has worked on or has developed Call of Duty, the original, Call of Duty 2, Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Call of Duty Ghosts, Call of Duty Infinity Warfare, Modern Warfare, Warzone as well, and who knows what they're going to do after. So I don't know. Like, for me, and this is me just being who I am, I was Medal of Honor fan back then, especially in the Call of Duty 1 and 2. Like, any of the Medal of Honors were much better in my eyes. All right, that's on you for your opinion. They weren't the same, in my opinion. I played them both. Most of the Medal of Honors had like a great story with a decent multiplayer. We're getting into the realm where multiplayer is becoming more prevalent. And I feel like nobody's denying it for a reason, because they're trying to feel out the people that play Call of Duty all the time. And I think Infinity Ward has a standard now of what they need to be able to do. And I think it starts with Treyarch. And I think how they marketed it and everything else, the early 90s aspect has really gravitated towards a lot of people, especially in my age demographic, I would say, like, 30s to, late 30s, somewhere in between there. And it has said, hey, like, we have questioned all of these things. Let's play a game and see where this goes. And I think it's really like intrigued people a little bit. And I think, Treyarch is just the Omni movement thing. Like, it drives me crazy because I had Omni options on Gears 3, bro. Like, that's how long ago. So this is not a new thing. All right. Like, this is an old school thinking that has come prevalent because what do you want? You want your ability of the character that you're controlling to do what you want. Is that not the case? And I think as people, and I believe there's an option to shut it off, just like I had in Gears 3. So I just...
Yeah, but I mean, again, just the fact that they have the option there, I think is incredibly relevant. But when you consider how important Modern Warfare and Infinity Ward has been for the series, look, yes, they've had some not so great releases. There's no doubt about it. And most people in the chat are talking about, when you say Infinity Ward, you're an old school cat like me. I think back to the Xbox 360 Modern Warfares. And I'm like, yeah, that was Infinity Ward at their finest. But it was also run by different people that now created Respawn. A big difference. But again, I do think that there is some excitement that should happen, at least for me, and potentially for you and everyone in the chat, where Modern Warfare 4, if it does come out in 2025, I know somebody in the chat just said, no, it's not happening. Listen, we don't know what's happening. These are leaks. So take it with a grain of salt. And again, these are the Call of Duty channels covering what is potentially a massive leak, in my opinion. But I am hoping, Crispy, that Modern Warfare comes out and it is as good as whatever Black Ops 6 is going to be. I just think that we are on the cusp of this being one of the biggest years for Call of Duty in a very long time. I think where it's bonkers is that it's in Game Pass. And I don't think people really are putting that 1-to-1. Call of Duty is an Xbox Game Pass. That is freaking bonkers, but it's happening. But again, keeping it tight with Infinity Ward. I know you're a fan of their work. I know that you're. I understand that you are. You like the other shooter, but we can't argue that Call of Duty, when you say it, it does, at least for me. Infinity Ward, is one of the studios now. Years ago,
I mean, can I just say that was off their website? So, like, if they're gonna lie to the people, they're gonna lie to the people. But they're not lying. I didn't care at the time. It always was Activision. You know what I mean? Like that was the banner. But as over time, being a gamer and understanding that there's developers within companies, that this is something that I wanted to bring up because. I mean, they have the pedigree, regardless of who's there or not, they still understand how to make a Call of Duty. I mean, they've made so many. Yeah. So it's like, these leaks, it's like, I feel like they're trying to feel out what is going to transpire over this period of time because they want Call of Duty to live. I mean, if you're a developer, you want the game you're working on to live. And sometimes it takes the hardcore first and say, okay, like, are you okay with this title? Are you okay with, us going back a little bit, but still it's like 10 years later, like all of these other things, like, are you okay with that? And I think they're throwing out feelers right now. And really that's my point. Like, I don't think that they're trying to like be like, like saying like, no, this is not happening, or it is. They're just shutting up and saying this happened, and we're going to look at the gamers that play the games, which is hundreds of millions of people apparently, that say, okay, I'm good with it or I'm not. And I think that's them doing that before a really good release, which I think is, Black Ops 6. So
Right.
I don't see them like, saying anything for a reason, because they're just letting it happen and saying, you know what, it happened. We're done with it. If you guys don't like it, hate it, and let us know. And I think it's one of those things that analytics and all these other things that are involved, Microsoft being involved, they're going to look at these things and they're going to say, if 100,000 people that play the game constantly don't like it, we might have a problem. And I think this is something that Microsoft's done for a long time. And unfortunately, we just, turn it all into negative news somehow, which, it is what it is.
No, I mean, great. Listen, great points all around, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to do it for us here today on the Xbox Factor podcast. 90 minutes in and out. Hopefully you enjoyed the conversation. To hit the bell icon so you're notified every time that we go live. Obviously, hit the like button on the way out of here. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel. Mrs. Boom and I would be greatly appreciative of that. Of course, big thank you to all of the super chats that have come in and continue to come in through channel membership. And of course, through live super chats. We are very, very humbled by the generosity. And, well, we're going to get out of here in a hot second, but we got to get the outros. And we'll start first with Jamie Moran. Jamie, you have a show with Logan later today, and we want to get into that particular show. Where can people find it? Where can people subscribe to it? And more importantly, watch it live, as well as follow you on social media. Tell everyone about all things Xbox. Talk about it, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having us on the show once again. It's always a pleasure. So my YouTube channel is The Elusive Gamer. I exclusively cover Xbox, and I dabble in the occasional sci-fi game, covering that, a lot of Mass Effect. I also do All Things Xbox podcast on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern time, where we just cover Xbox. It's fun over there. Highly recommend people go over there. We don't do drama. There's no forced negativity. It's all just pure game coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And I think gaming needs more of that. Also have a weekly video coming out this week of a lot of cool things coming out. Won't say much, but if you want to see upcoming games coming to Xbox and beyond, I think people will like that. And also my Twitter is Jamie Moran UK, where it's exclusively gaming and the occasional joke.
Yes, and of course being stalked by the people that escaped from Arkham, but we will talk about that at another date. Hopefully you'll stay safe. Thanks, Jamie, so much for being here. Crispy Bomb, let's sell the brand, brother. Where can people follow you on social media, and what else you got going on there, kind sir?
At Crispy Bomb on X, Crispy Bomb 28 Xbox Live. Yes, I speak my truth. I really don't care. It is not hurting me that you go and say some nasty things to me. I'll just block you. I really don't care. And especially if you come after some of my family, or I say brothers, one or the other, I'll just block you. I'm done. All right. And maybe I could show up back here. I got Tuesdays off for a while, so.
Well, we will definitely revisit that, brother. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Again, you knocked it out of the park along, as you always do. And who doesn't like a crispy rant? I love them. People love them. And we're happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for being here. And of course, we're going to close out today's show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. He would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.